G'day guys, how you going? Hope you're all having a fantastic afternoon. Today I'm going to be doing a movie review. Now this is not a horror film, so I apologise to all the horror fans out there, but this is going to be an Australian drama. A very disturbing Australian drama. Made in 1998, so it's fairly old, directed by Rowan Woods. And this movie is called The Boys. Now, The Boys has an all-star Australian cast. Some of these actors have gone on to Hollywood and others haven't. So the ones in Hollywood, for all the overseas people, you will recognise them. But for those of you in Australia, you'll recognise the rest of the cast as well. So the cast is as follows. David Wenham, who's since gone on to Hollywood. Toni Collette, who has since gone on to Hollywood. This is pretty much their starting platform. This is where they got a lot of recognition for because they had outstanding roles. Lynette Curran, John Paulson, who runs a short film festival here in Australia called Trotfest. He also directed a Hollywood horror film called Hide and Seek with Robert De Niro. So it's really good to see him in a film rather than behind the camera. Jeanette Cronin, Anthony Hayes, Annalise, and Pete Smith. So Toni Collette and David Wenham are the ones that you're going to recognise if you're from overseas. But for those of you in Australia who are familiar with Australian television, you will recognise the supporting cast. So the film story is as follows. Brett Sprague returns to his family home after 12 months in jail. Things have changed while he has been away. His brother Glenn has moved out with his girlfriend Jackie. Younger brother Stevie's pregnant girlfriend Nola now lives with the family, and his mother Sandra has taken on a Maori drifter. Reunited with his brothers, Brett uses his first day back to restore order. So we have Brett Sprague, the main character, played by David Wenham. The start of the film, he is waiting outside Goulburn Prison. Now, Goulburn Prison is a very notorious jail here in Australia, and he's just finished a year-long sentence for assault. So the film starts off on his release date. So he's waiting outside for his younger brother Stevie to come and pick him up. He finally comes, and on the long ride home, Stevie, the younger brother, is filling in Brett on what's happened since he's been away. And Brett's not really appreciative of this. A lot of changes have been made without him knowing, and he also is offended that no one come to visit him in prison. So you really do come to the conclusion that this family are scared of Brett. So basically what's happened is Brett's other brother Glenn has moved out of the family home with his girlfriend Jackie. Stevie has a pregnant girlfriend living in the family home, and the mother has taken on a Maori drifter. She's got a new boyfriend. She's had many boyfriends. She's had her heart broken many times. And the similarity between all these family members is that they're very vulnerable and can be easily influenced. And so Brett he does come across as the head of the family. So he's really not happy with the way things have gone. He wants his family back. So when he gets home, he's introduced to all the new things in his house, and very, very soon he goes on his way to restore order and basically get his family together at any cost. And that's pretty much the story. I'm not going to give too much else away. Basically, from there, it goes on. It's just one day inside his house, the first day that Brett's back. And as the film progresses, the tension gets higher and higher and higher, and it has a very, very tense climax. So, and then you also can't be, you might be confused because the film actually flash forwards 18 hours. So at the end, it's not clear what happened, but if you pay attention to the flash forwards, you will understand it. So you've got to really pay attention because it's not really, it doesn't have a plot. It's basically, yeah, just one day in a very sort of dysfunctional family. So, yeah, that's as far as I'm going to go with the synopsis. And if you want to know more, then please go and do so. Go and watch it. So my thoughts on the film. David Wenham, brilliant in this film. He plays a psychopath really well, and he plays the character of a bully. Now, Brett, the character he's playing, is loosely based off a real person, and if you read up on the crime that he committed, you will get an insight as to what this film's about. But for those of you who don't want to read up on it and just want to watch the movie, I won't give that away. But basically, Brett Sprague, he thinks he knows it all because he's been to prison, and he's always the first person to shift responsibility onto someone else. So he's a coward and he's a bully, and deep inside he's very insecure. Now on the ride home from jail, he's constantly asking Stevie if he has slept with his girlfriend, which is Toni Collette. She plays a magnificent role in it as well. He's basically telling Stevie, have you have you slept with her? But not quite in those words, but very sort of vulgar words. And so he's very paranoid about the way things have gone. So you sense that he's got a deep insecurity, but he's hiding this with a macho man kind of personality. So he gets home and he's basically telling them how the world works. And, he comes across as this tough guy because he's been to prison. And there are hints towards him being sexually assaulted in prison, but I'm not going to go too far into that one because it's part of the movie, but there are hints that he had been assaulted in jail, and therefore he's a little bit angry when he comes out. So yeah, it's just basically a very psychological film. There's no violence. Well, there is one scene of violence, but it's all what it's building up to be. It's so tense. It's a very, very realistic film. It's basically, I wouldn't say white trash, but well, it's the equivalent of white trash. You know, in America they call it white trash, but this is the equivalent. They're really struggling to make ends meet. They're very, very vulnerable people, and Brett sees this as an opportunity. He wants to feel in power, and the only way he can feel in power is to come across these vulnerable people, because they'll listen to everything he says. So while Brett doesn't feel superior to the people he was in jail with, he comes home and they all look up to him, and the fact that he's been to jail just gives him more appeal to follow. So he's a very violent man. He's got some very, very twisted ideas, and he's forcing those ideas upon his family, therefore ruining the family. So it's a very, very disturbing look because it's a very realistic look. And it's kind of like a play rather than an actual film because the whole film takes place inside this house for 99% of the film. So it's nothing that's going to have explosions or gory moments. It just relies on solid dialogue, and the dialogue is brilliant. The direction is brilliant. It's so bland, and it paints the story of this family. This family are hopeless. They're not going anywhere. The younger brother doesn't work. He's bludgeoning, and the Brett, he's not working, and he's just harassing all these people. And his older brother Glenn, he had a job, but Brett is forcing Glenn to stay away from that job because he thinks that he should be with his brothers. So Brett's selfish behaviour really does ruin this family, and it's a really realistic look into the world of suburban Australia in some families, and the power that bullies can have over impressionable sort of people, and who can be easily influenced. And so yeah, when they've lost everything, you come to this realization that throughout the film, you know that Brett's a bad kind of guy, but right at the end, you come to this sudden realization that Brett has taken everything away from this family, and that they're so scared of this guy that they believed him and they did everything he said, and they thought they would be better off for listening to their brother. So yeah, I mean, it's a powerhouse of a film. On the back it says, strikes a path of terror that's deeply disturbing. One of the most powerful, observant and artistically satisfying Australian films ever made. Extraordinary performances and an intensity that is at times almost unbearable. A flawless ensemble. It's so primal, so severe, your body hangs suspended, and it's won plenty of awards. It is a brilliant film, but just be aware, it's got a lot of dialogue. It relies on its solid dialogue, great acting. David Wenham, Toni Collette, John Paulson, every single one of these actors do a fantastic job. The woman who plays the pregnant woman was Annalise. She's a very vulnerable person, and just everyone in this film is vulnerable and just very, very disturbed individuals. So yeah, a very, very psychologically disturbing film. I highly recommend it if you want something a little bit different and that will make you think, and if you want an insight into the lower class of Australians. So very, very good film. I don't know why more people haven't spoken about this, but I would highly recommend you go out there and see it. Just don't expect a gore fest. There's no sex, but it's just the level of tension and the disturbing factor of this Brett guy's personality is just really tense, and it will keep you on the edge of your seat throughout the whole entire film. It's the first real film that, without any violence, grabbed my attention and didn't let go. So, sensational directing, sensational acting, and which makes a very, very, very good film. So that's my review of the Australian drama The Boys. Definitely go and see it. I highly recommend it. It's won all these awards. An Australian film like this doesn't get the attention that it deserves. And yeah, if you want to see David Wenham and Toni Collette before they made it big in Hollywood, this one is the film to watch. Alright guys, that's my review. I hope you all have a great day, and until next time, I'll see you later.